ever watched one of those time travel movies?
Yeah.
And thought, man, if I could just get a little heads up from my future self, that'd be awesome.
Right.
So that's what we're diving into today. Like, picture this. You get a letter from UL, but like 30 years older, packed with life advice. Would you read it? Or would it be instant trash?
Ooh, tough call.
Right. And that's the thing. We're not here to say what's right or wrong. It's more about, like, exploring the possibilities here. Like, would knowing your future actually help you? Or would it be better to just, experience all the ups and downs firsthand?
Yeah, that's the core question, isn't it?
Totally. And I think a lot of us just assume our future selves would have it all figured out, like they've got life solved.
Oh, totally. We fall into that trap all the time. But is that always the reality, though?
Good point.
It's tempting to think of personal growth as this, like, straight line upwards. But what if it's more like, I don't know, trekking through a jungle?
Okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah. The path twists and turns, you might circle back sometimes. And what felt super important at the start of the journey might be totally different by the time you reach the end,
So what you're saying is future Q, you might have completely different priorities, different values, even a whole new definition of success compared to, like, current you.
Exactly. And the source material had this perfect example. Imagine someone who's, like, hyper-organized.
Oh, I know the type.
Right. Their calendar's color-coded, 5-year plan, the whole 9 yards. Now, their future self, who's learned to loosen up, embrace spontaneity, sends a letter back with one big message. Chill out, stop planning, and just go for it.
I can practically hear the eye roll from here.
Right. It's not that the advice is bad. It's just, will it resonate with who you are at that moment?
It's like sometimes you need to learn those lessons yourself,
Exactly. And if we take that a step further, think about the impact on your choices, your whole trajectory even.
And you're talking about that self-fulfilling prophecy thing.
Bingo. Like, imagine future you warns you about a business going belly up.
Oof, yeah. Does that knowledge make it more likely to happen? Because now you're, like, subconsciously sabotaging yourself.
You're so scared of it happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe without that letter, you would have stumbled, sure. But ultimately, you would have found your feet as an entrepreneur. But now, with that warning in your head, you second-guess every decision, every risk you take.
You're almost setting yourself up for failure.
Right. Fulfilling the very prophecy you were trying to avoid.
See, that's what I find so fascinating about this whole thing. It's like, it makes logical sense, but it's also kind of terrifying,
For sure. And this all ties into a bigger point against reading that letter. The value of challenges.
Okay, yeah.
Like, we all know overcoming obstacles, even messing up sometimes, it builds character. Resilience, wisdom, all that good stuff.
So you're saying that letter, however well-meaning it might be, it could actually rob us of those crucial growth opportunities. Think of it like this. Would you appreciate a stunning mountaintop view as much if you were airlifted to the top? Or is it the journey, the sweat, the maybe took a wrong turn twice that makes it truly meaningful?
Okay, I'm starting to see how clinging to those what-ifs can be its own kind of trap. But then there's a part of me that still thinks, wouldn't you want advice from someone who's walked in your shoes? Someone with decades of hindsight on their side. It'd be like having a personal mentor who knows exactly where you might trip up.
And that's the allure of the pro-reading side, right? It's like your future self, they're basically a wiser, more seasoned version of you. They've lived through the choices, the mistakes, all of it, and come out on the other side with this, like, incredible perspective.
It's like having a personal time machine. But instead of going back to see dinosaurs, you get life advice.
Exactly.
The source material actually mentioned someone struggling with their early career. Like, bouncing from job to job, feeling lost. Right. And they were like, imagine if I had some guidance from my future self. Maybe I wouldn't have wasted years on that dead-end career path.
It makes you think.
Totally. And it's not just about avoiding those detours either, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about getting a clearer perspective on things.
100%. Think about a time when you had to make a really big decision.
Ugh, the worst.
Right. We get so caught up in the emotions of it all. It's like that saying, you can't see the forest for the trees.
You just get tunnel vision.
Exactly.
But future you, looking back, they've got the benefit of time and distance.
They can see the bigger picture so much more clearly.
So they might not be freaking out about the decision in the same way.
Exactly. The source material actually talked about a study on this. People reflecting on past dilemmas gave much wiser, less emotionally charged advice.
Interesting.
It's like instead of agonizing over, should I stay or should I go?
Future's just like, dude, chill. It worked out either way.
Right. And let's not forget about the practical side of things. Like, what if that letter warned you about, say, a financial crisis coming up?
Or a health issue even.
Exactly. Wouldn't you want that heads up?
To make different choices, be prepared.
Exactly. Even just to, like, appreciate the good times while they last, you know?
It's like this friend of mine. He always says he wishes he'd prioritize family time more. His dad passed away unexpectedly, and now he looks back and regrets all those moments lost.
It's tough.
It is. And he said, like, if I had even a hint that time was precious, who knows? Maybe things would be different.
It's that element of, like, potential preparedness that makes this thought experiment so fascinating. On the one hand, there's this beauty in letting life unfold naturally. Surprises, challenges, all of it.
Right. Yeah.
But then there's that other side, where you can maybe soften the blows, you know? Maximize the joy, and make choices from this place of, like, heightened awareness.
Man, it's almost like you're choosing between two incredible gifts. But one's wrapped in mystery, and the other one has a big label that's like, this will make your life easier.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I like that. And, you know, even within the don't read camp, there are more layers to peel back here.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, what about this? What if, even with future knowledge, some things are just destined to happen?
Well, okay, you're talking about fate versus free will now.
Exactly. Are we really in control of our own destinies, or is there like a predetermined path we're all on?
A cosmic script we're just playing out.
Right. And that's a huge EE question.
Definitely a topic for another deep dive.
Haha, for sure. But it's crucial to think about in this scenario, like, if our lives are already written, does reading that letter just confirm what's inevitable?
Does it make you feel like you've got less agency, not more?
Precisely.
Huh? I never thought about it like that.
It's like knowing the ending to a movie before you watch it. Does it make the experience better, or does it kind of ruin the surprise?
It depends on the movie, I guess.
Right, and that's what makes this so thought-provoking. It's a question philosophers have been debating for ages.
No easy answers.
Not at all. Does knowing the future take away from the joy of discovery, the power of choice? Or does it empower us to navigate those challenges with more awareness?
It really makes you think.
Okay.
But, okay, before we go too far down that existential rabbit hole, what about the more practical downsides of having all that future knowledge?
Oh, yeah. There are definitely some to consider.
Like, is ignorance bliss? Or is it just ignorance? It's like you open that letter and boom, instant future shock.
Right. And it's not always good stuff either. The source material actually talked about this whole idea of, like, the burden of knowledge.
Oh, interesting.
Like, imagine reading about a future heartbreak, a loss you can't prevent no matter what you do.
Oh, wow.
Would knowing about it make you savor the present more? Or would it just cast this, like, shadow over everything?
I think for me, it'd be tough not to dwell on it. Like constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Right. And that's the thing, sometimes not knowing is easier.
Ignorance is bliss, as they say.
Exactly. We actually have a friend who said they'd much rather stay in the dark.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're convinced they'd just spend years dreading something they couldn't control.
Instead of just like enjoying life.
Exactly. And honestly, I can see where they're coming from.
It's like, why borrow trouble, right?
Yeah.
But then there's that other side of the coin. What if you do make a different choice because of that letter, even a small one?
Ooh, yeah, the butterfly effect.
Could you completely change the course of your future? And not necessarily for the better.
Exactly. You just don't know.
You don't have that control group.
Nope. And that's one of the biggest arguments against reading that letter.
Because even if you think you're making the right choice based on that future knowledge,
There's no guarantee it'll lead to a better outcome in the long run.
it's like you're messing with forces beyond your control.
Exactly. And that can be a pretty scary thought for some people.
It really highlights how much of life is about embracing uncertainty, huh?
100%.
Like the good AD, the bad that comes with it.
The highs and the lows, all part of the ride.
And maybe that's the real takeaway here. It's
Yeah.
not about whether you read the letter or not. It's about how the very act of thinking about it forces you to confront your own beliefs about life.
Yeah, totally. Your values, your priorities, your whole outlook.
Like, are you someone who wants all the answers laid out in front of you? Or do you prefer to figure things out as you go?
And there's no right or wrong answer, which is kind of the beauty of it.
It's such a great thought experiment.
It really is.
So, listeners, we want to hear from you. If you could send a letter back to your younger self, what's that one piece of advice you'd share?
Don't overthink it. Just go with your gut.
Head over to our social media and let us know. And until next time, keep exploring those deep questions. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.